if you're on the People Scholar page on Facebook, just know that Facebook, what they did was they blocked our page and they didn't tell us why, and they literally told us, somebody said no sipping sounds. Well, you know what? Just just as a big fu, watch this. How you feel about that? How you like that? Yeah, I'm gonna be sipping my coffee all day. Now I'm gonna do some extra sipping, just to fuck with you. How you gonna tell me no sipping sounds? I'm playing. That was so bad. I shouldn't have been cussing. My mama, I'm sure my mom was watching, and now I've got a whole lot of political dignitaries that pay attention to what I say apparently, and so I have to watch my language. But you know what? I say shit. If Bill Maher can cuss all day, then I can cuss too. So whatever. And plus, I own my own stuff, so I ain't scared to say what I need to say. You just got to do what you got to do. But something I was gonna tell you. Back to Facebook. Okay, so with Facebook, here's the situation with Facebook. Facebook blocked my page. They didn't explain why. They just were like, "Your page has violated our community standards." The problem is, we have 400 and something thousand fans on the page, and we had, thousands of status updates going back years, going back to 2012, and they're like, "Oh, well, you violated our community standards." And we're like, what does that mean? Like, what do we need to remove a certain post? Or do we need to make an adjustment? And we email them, and Facebook doesn't respond. They don't respond. They're really disrespectful company. I have to tell you that. But you know what? Y'all know me. I'm always saying to y'all that for black people, y'all just need to realize when you're in somebody else's house, you got to live by their rules. So I'm in Facebook's house with that page, and now I'm not really worried about it. We reached over 2 million people on Facebook because we own pages that people don't even know that we own. We really go incognito on everything we do because we don't want a lot of people trying to shut us down because the more impact that you have, the more you have people that want to try to harm you. We've got white people that want to see us go down. There's a disgruntled ex-contractor I used to work with who has threatened to destroy us, who's wished death upon everything that we do. We have Umar Johnson and his people. Apparently, he made some sort of threat about, well, I'll see what y'all saying about me on Facebook, and if I find out, I'm gonna, so because my son sent me that video, which he was saying that, and I don't hate Umar, I don't have anything against him, but it's just sort of like after all that was said, these things started happening. Our page kept getting reported. Now, I'm not trying to say that he did it or anything like that. I'm just saying you don't know. You just don't know. In China, they have a saying that says the fattest pig always gets slaughtered. So if you are a person, if you're in this room right now and you are a person who has, ambition in life and you want to be successful, just know that the more success you have, the more haters you will have, the more attackers you will have, the more detractors you will have, especially if you're controversial. And honestly, I believe that black people have to be controversial in order to speak the truth because what is in style right now is a complete lie. The lies are what are winning. The coonery is what is winning. So if you want to coon and live on a lie, then you're going to fit right in. Everybody's going to love you. But if you try to be righteous and real and strong and direct and you tell the truth, then you're going to have enemies coming from everywhere. You're going to have white folks coming at you. You're going to have other black folks coming at you. Black people who are committed to the coonery or black people who are maybe jealous or just don't like you or whatever. In fact, it makes me think about when China had a problem with opium over 100 years ago. They had a problem where they couldn't get anything done. Their country wasn't productive. They were a lot like the hood is now, where some parts of the hood where we can't make progress because there's so much backward thinking. Well, China had that problem too. They had coonery basically, where everybody wanted to smoke opium. And if you know anything about opium and heroin, you know anybody who sits around getting high all day usually isn't gonna be all that productive. So their whole country had a problem with drugs. Now the British were making money selling the drugs to the Chinese. So they had, just like white folks have a vested interest in supporting your cooning. The British had a vested interest in Chinese opium consumption. So what happened was you had people in the community who spoke up, stood up, and told the truth and said, this is not good for our community. This is not good for our people. We are going to stand up against this nonsense. And they didn't hold nothing back. They started burning down opium houses. They started arresting. They said, if you get caught with that shit, you will be killed. We will execute you if you are selling it or if you are using it. And so now I'm not saying that wasn't necessarily the fairest policy, but it was what they did. And so what happened was they had two enemies. They had two enemies. Their first enemy was the British, who said, wait a minute, we're making money off the heroin, off the opium consumption. We make money from all the dope things y'all got in China. Y'all messing up our money. When you start messing up somebody's money, they're gonna come try to get you. They're gonna come get you. They went and got Dr. King when he started messing with the white man's money. Number two, they besides the British as their enemy who were selling the opium addicts were also their enemies. The opium addicts were like, wait a minute, man, like everything's good. We're getting high. Ain't nothing wrong with smoking some opium. Y'all being too serious. Like, why are you acting like that? Like, and I go through that. When I was on CNN with Don Lemon's show, his old silly ass. Don Lemon invited me on. I know Don Lemon doesn't like me. Whenever your enemy invites you on the show, you know it's gonna be messy, right? So when Don Lemon invited me on his show, I was like, why the hell does that Negro want me on his show? Because I know he don't like me. He was on the Tom Joyner Morning Show talking shit about me for a whole hour. So I know Don Lemon doesn't like me. Why would Don want me on his show? But I said, okay, fine, I'll go on the show. I don't care. I know the system's rigged, but whatever. Let's have the conversation. And when I was on there, I swear to God, I remember I felt like the Chinese felt when they were fighting against the opium addicts, because they were like, so Dr. Boyce, what's wrong with Empire? It's a good show. At least black people have jobs. And I'm like, don't you understand what shows like that do? Do you know where stereotypes come from? Stereotypes come from the white man's media. Stereotypes come from the fact that they're portraying you to be a bunch of crazy, insane, murderous apes. That stereotypes affect black people, because when you go into the court of law and that all white jury is looking at your black ass, they're not seeing a human being. They are seeing a television character. They're seeing what they saw on Empire. So you can't pretend like this is not a big deal. But at the end of the day, it was like I was kind of outnumbered. Everybody else was like, oh, it's just entertainment and it was such a good show and blah, blah, blah. So in a way, it reminded me of the Chinese thing, because when the people were fighting against the opium consumption in China and saying this is not helping our community, you had the drug addicts saying, oh, come on, man, it's not a big deal. You're being too serious. But you know what? They stood their ground. They stood their ground because they had truth on their side. They had a righteous commitment to doing what was best for the community despite opposition. They didn't care. They weren't in this game for friends. In fact, I was telling a lady just now, I said, I'm not in this game for friends. Because she was saying, well, Boyce, you lost a lot of supporters because you praised Trump. And I said, number one, name one damn time where I have ever praised Donald Trump, where I have ever said, oh, Donald Trump is good for America. He's making America great again. I'm voting for Trump. I said, name one time when I said I was voting for that man. Name one time when I ever endorsed that man. No, you're just mad because I didn't fall in love with Obama the way you did. I don't fall in love with politicians because politicians are snakes. I don't care, black, white, otherwise. I don't trust none of them, especially when they're neglecting the black community. You're mad because I didn't go vote for Hillary. Because I look at Hillary and I'm like, well, Hillary don't respect me, so I'm not gonna respect her. That's equality. You neglect me, I'm gonna neglect you. You don't do nothing for me, I ain't doing nothing for you. You ain't helping the people I love, then I ain't helping you get in office. That to me is equality. Equality isn't you neglect me, but I still show you unconditional support no matter what. What kind of sense does that make? That don't make no damn sense. I said also, you somehow think I praise Donald Trump by virtue of the fact that I've simply taught black people how to compete with Donald Trump. I've spoken about Donald Trump in an honest way to say, okay, you might not like him. That man is all over the place. He's been an arrogant white boy his whole life. I read his book 25 years ago, and even back then, as a 20-year-old, I was like, this is an arrogant white boy. This guy really thinks he's God's gift to humanity. And so I said, he's been an arrogant white boy his whole life. He's mentally unstable. He's not good for the country. He's a disruptive force, but he also undermines the integrity of what it even means to be the president of the United States. I said, but at the same time, guess what? He got the power and you don't. He's got the wealth and you don't. And he has free will that a lot of us don't have. He has the ability to shape your life, but you don't have the ability to shape his. So my thought at that point is not to say, oh, I'm gonna sit around and just be mad about it. I'm like, well, let's dissect this. Let's think about this. Let's figure out how he got that power so that we can get some of that power too. Because complaining and whining will only take you so far. Being mad and upset is only gonna get you so much. It ain't really got you much. I mean, you can be mad all day, but it ain't gonna make your condition better. If you could be in a basketball game and complain all day that you're losing by 80 points, but the other team still ain't going to give you enough points to catch up in the game. So at the end of the day, why not study and analyze and get out of our feelings and figure out how we can have power like that too? How our children can be empowered like that as well. So that's my position, And so at the end of the day, I have a lot of people that will misinterpret what I say. As I said, I think I've been banned from Ebony Magazine. I submitted an article and I got the green light from the first editor, but the second editor said, no, we will not publish a Boyce Watkins article. So I think so. I know. So what happens is when you don't go along with the status quo, when you speak the truth, you're gonna lose a lot of friends. So if you're trying to do anything similar to what I'm doing right now, just know you ain't gonna have a lot of friends. And even when you have friends, understand it's usually conditional, and in many cases it's transitory. It's conditional in the sense that a lot of people will be your buddy as long as you're saying what they want to hear. But the minute you say something that makes them uncomfortable, the minute you disagree with them, some people just can't handle that. Some people get all emotional about it. Now, I'm a scholar. I come from academia where somebody could be your best buddy and think that your work is extraordinary, and they will still challenge you. They will still say, well, that's not right, or what about that? And they will argue with you all day long because steel sharpens steel, because that's how you get the best ideas out, is you hash it out and you talk to people who disagree with you. You don't spend all your time preaching to the choir, because the choir ain't doing nothing for you. The choir's not making you better. The choir is only pushing you in a direction that you're already going, which unfortunately may be the wrong direction, which means they're pushing you even deeper into the abyss of your own ignorance and stupidity. That's what sometimes the choir, the people cheering you on, are your worst enemies, because they're pushing you in a direction that you don't need to go. Imagine if you had a mother who simply agreed and went along with everything her child wanted to do. Every stupid idea that the child came home with, the mother said, "Oh, baby, that sounds good. Go do that." Or the daughter comes home and she's dating the local drug dealer, and the mama says, "Oh, baby, that's so good. He got money, and he's shining, girl, and he got swag and nice shoes." And the mother just went along with everything the child did. If the mother did that, then she would be a bad mother. People that always tell you you're right are not your friends. People that always tell you that everything you're doing is perfect are not your friends. Your real friends are the ones who say, "You know what? I love you enough to take a chance that you're gonna hate me after I say this to you." I had to say this one time to a friend of mine when she got married. I didn't like the marriage. I didn't think it was a good idea, and I said, I was like 28, and it was a hard conversation. I said, "You know what? I care about you enough that I'm gonna say this one time, and then after that, I'm never gonna say it again." I said, "You should not marry that man, because based on what you told me, it does not sound like it's going to be a good decision for your future." And after that, it was over with. And the way I showed the love was the fact that I was willing to risk the fact that she was going to get mad at me, because nobody wants to hear you say, "Oh, well, I don't think you're getting married to this person's a good idea," right? So, those are my thoughts. Don't look for friends who are going to just agree with you all the time. Look for friends who are going to challenge you and tell you where you fucked up. Like y'all tell me I mess up a lot. I mean, I have no problem with you saying, "Boys, you kind of fucked up with that." Or boy, or sorry, the way people say they'll say, "Well, Doc, with all due respect," and then when they say that, I'm like, "Oh, they're about to tell me I fucked up." And you know what? And sometimes I'll get mad. I'll say, "No, that's wrong. I don't agree," and blah blah blah. But really, at the end of the day, your critics are the ones who make you better. Even critics who are hostile sometimes make you better. And I learned that from Louis Farrakhan. When our first conversation we had, me and the minister sat down for 3 hours, 3 hours in his office. He lives around the corner, and he said that your critics make you stronger. He mentioned Julianne Malveaux. He said you know how the minister talks. Every time he talks, you just hang on his every word. He said, "Dr. Watkins," he said, "Julianne Malveaux used to tear into me something terrible." And he said what he learned was that some of the criticism was correct. Some of the criticism was accurate. And so, I think at the end of the day, don't get mad because your friends disagree with you. Sometimes they do it because they love you. But at the same time, sometimes you might just disagree back, and you might have to just keep moving in that direction and be strong enough to stay focused on what you're doing. Um, do this for me real quick. If you are on social media anywhere, please take 1 second right now and hit the little buttons at the bottom and share this feed with other people so that we can build the network and stuff like that. Just take 1 second to do that for me. I would so appreciate that. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net, not .com. That's .net. So, and then finally, of course, you know that our programs, we have the Black Stock Market program and all that good stuff. A lot of good stuff we do in the Black Business School, which now has 35,000 students. We're doing it. We are our own HBCU, baby. We are doing it, and we're running it on a shoestring budget, but we're reaching more people than most HBCUs reach, and we're giving them real, authentic education, and we're doing it at a tiny fraction of the cost. And I love it because it is a way to embrace technology in the new millennium, minimize the bureaucracy, tell the truth, give people what they need. And I know how to do this because I taught at major universities for 24 years. Our faculty consists of attorneys and professors, and people like Dr. Tyra Selden, who has a PhD in literature, Tanya Nebo, who's an extraordinary attorney. We have all kinds of people that can teach you great stuff in the Black Business School. So if you want to know more about the programs there, we have programs for children as well. That's another thing a lot of HBCUs don't do. I love them. I love the HBCUs. Don't get me wrong, but they don't really teach children. So we actually have programs for children because we're trying to build the next generation. We have a vision. I'm not kidding. This is not reactive leadership. I'm not going to sit around here and get mad because of what some white man said about me. This is not reactive leadership. This is proactive leadership. And what that means is that we're not really worried so much about what somebody said about us in 2017. We're preparing for the battles that will occur in the year 2117. Because if you give yourself time to prepare, then you can prepare for battle. Sun Tzu in The Art of War. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu said that battles are won before they begin. So I'm not trying to win battles that are already lost. I'm not trying to win battles that where white man got a 100-year head start on us, and because he's been stealing our wealth and building institutions while we've been getting kicked around, getting our balls cut off, and learning how to do the nay and all this other stuff. I'm talking about 100 years from today, where you will have tens of thousands of Black people who will do very basic wealth building strategies that we teach on a regular basis. That wealth will grow to the point where they will have millions of dollars in assets in their families that can be used for a proactive purpose. Plus, they will have knowledge and understanding of what it takes to build and develop institutions. Just recently, I spoke to my leadership coach, a woman named Nicole Price, who is an extraordinary leadership expert. Her name is Nicole Price. She wrote the book Lively Paradox. And we talk all the time about what it takes to build sustainable institutions in the Black community. What does it take to build leadership as Dr. Claude Anderson says, cannot be assassinated? We need leaders that can't be shot. We need leaders that won't disappear because somebody finds out they were sleeping with a hooker. We need leadership that is sustainable through institutions that support the masses and also will survive into the next generation. Because these are questions that every business owner has to ask himself. Every institution, every leader period has to ask himself, what happens if you die? I have conversations about that at least 3 times a week where I say, look, I know what some of what I'm doing is working out pretty well and we're getting some things done. But what happens if I die? What's going to happen financially if I'm gone? Are we going to have enough money to do what we got to do? Because this ain't about me. One day I'm going to stop breathing. My heart's going to stop beating and I'm going to be out of here. I'm going to be in the next life. So what's going to happen in the afterlife? And I'm not talking about the afterlife that happens in heaven. I'm not talking about the afterlife where I go to some other place and the streets are paved with gold and you get 72 virgins or whatever they teach about heaven. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about my afterlife. I'm talking about the afterlife that happens on this earth, where this earth will keep on spinning after I'm gone. Things will keep happening. Black people will continue to be oppressed. We will still be at war long after I'm gone. So in my mind, I'm always every day preparing for the afterlife. And that means, okay, can we develop institutions that are going to be here when I'm out of here? And I know it's sad. I mean, I know a lot of Black people don't want to talk about death. They think somehow, I guess somehow we believe that if you talk about death, it's going to make it happen. It's more likely to happen. But the fact is that you're going to die. We're all going to die at some point. So stop acting like you're not going to die. You're going to die. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are. So, but that's okay because you can create your own immortality by preparing for what happens in the afterlife. You know, so that means basics in your family, like having life insurance. Black people who don't have life insurance, I make fun of you if you don't have life insurance, because every black person needs to have life insurance. What else? After you're gone, you know, do you have an institution in place, an organization that will sustain itself? Do you have a business that's run by multiple people that know how to take over if you're not there, or do you have a mom and pop shop? Most black businesses are one man, one woman shows, and that's because we have a history of being laborers. We've worked for white people for so long. We're used to kind of just working our way into whatever. So a lot of people, they'll create a business, but really they're not really creating a business as much as you're sort of buying your own job. And then you're working every day like it's a job. And then when you're gone, the job and the business disappear. So there is a lot that can be done to kind of prepare for that. And so with Simmons College of Kentucky, the HBCU that I told you about that we're partnering with now, it's a great partnership because they've got all the buildings, they got all the resources and everything that we can use to do a lot of the things we want to do. They're creating the Dr. Boyce Watkins Economic Empowerment Institute. I told you guys about that. And one of the biggest objectives of the institute is to develop strategies for leadership and institution building, because what black people need is we do not need more jobs. We do not need white people giving us more jobs. Don't get me wrong. If you want to go work for white people, go do it. That's fine. But we don't need jobs. We need institutions, because institutions are what sustain the masses. Jobs require you to, one, you must commit to white supremacist systems in order to maintain your job. You can't go work for a white supremacist organization, which most of them are. You can't go work for that organization without being committed to the values of that organization. The values of most American organizations run by people who are not black align deeply with white supremacy. So when you go out begging for jobs, when you go out defining your success based on whether or not you have a job, when you go out thinking that your key to success and happiness and wealth and everything is related to what kind of job you get, then what you're doing is you're walking deeper and deeper into an economic and political and sociological and spiritual death trap. You're walking into a death trap for your soul, because what's going to happen is that you're going to get deep in that game and you're going to think, look, mama, I made it. Look at my car, look at my house, look at my fancy suits, look at how much money I got. But then you're going to go to work and you're going to hate yourself every day. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be ready to, you're going to be feeling high blood pressure, hypertension, heart disease, all kinds of stress factors that kill black people every day. The reason you're dying in a lot of cases, the reason you're dying so early is because of your job. So, because think about it, that's the thing you do more than anything else. You spend more time, if you have a job over the course of your life, you spend more time at that job than you spend doing anything else. You spend more time at that job than you spend with your children. You spend more time at that job than you spend with your spouse. You spend more time at that job than you spend having sex. You spend more time at that job than you spend at church. You spend more time at that job than you spend with socializing or watching television. And black people watch more TV than anybody else, which I hate that. I think we need to all turn off the damn TV. I don't. I stay in about 100 hotels a year. I don't remember the last time I turned on the TV. I don't even know how to use the damn TV. I don't even know how to turn it on or find the channels, none of that, because I don't watch TV. You know what I watch? Um, I go online and I'll watch stuff on YouTube, maybe from black people like a Tariq Nasheed or whatever, because I think that's the real black media today. It ain't that nonsense coming out of some of these corporations. I watch Netflix. I watched a documentary last night about secrets of the solar system. I'm a space buff. I'm fascinated with the size and the magnitude of the universe and physics. I just love it. I think it's so fascinating. And so last night I was watching a documentary explaining how Jupiter formed and why Jupiter is so big and why it's located in a space that's not supposed to be located, because they think the core could be made of ice, which means it should be closer to the ice belt, or it could just be made of gas. And then they found hundreds of exoplanets, that or thousands of them by now, which are planets in other solar systems that are like what they call hot Jupiters, that are right near the sun. So there are some of these planets that rotate around the sun literally in 2 or 3 days at a time. Like how it takes us 365 years to get around the sun. There are literally planets that they found that rotate around their sun like every day. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's so fascinating. So that's the stuff that I watch. I watch Curiosity Stream TV because that's a great channel for people that want to think. I watch stuff on business. I love to learn about business and economics, even though I know a lot. I have a PhD in finance. It's a real PhD. You can go look it up. I still think every day is a chance to learn. Life is a big old university. You know, the internet is the best university ever. And so there's no reason that any person can tell me. Somebody was trying to tell me that, well, you know, Dr. Boyce, the reason a lot of people can't get your message is because a lot of people can't afford, you know, $80 a month or whatever. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's like the cost of taking your family to the movies. And people can afford to go to the movies. When they put out a Kevin Hart movie, everybody goes to see it. I said, so it's really about priorities, number one. Or if, you know, some Jordans come out, a lot of people find the money for Jordans. I know poor people that got Jordans. I can't afford Jordans, but here's the thing, I can afford them, but I can't afford them, right? Because I don't see the value in them, right? It doesn't mean I don't like the company. The company's fine. I met the CEO. I like him. He's a nice guy. But for me, Jordans aren't my thing. So due to priorities, if you say, hey boys, can you afford $250 for some shoes? I'll be like, no, right? So a lot of times when you say to somebody, can you afford a $50 book or you know, an $80 class, they're going to say no, but it's not really them saying I can't afford it. It's them saying I don't have, that it's not high on my priority list. Because I can tell you, when Beyonce comes to town, I know a whole lot of broke people who will get off of work, who will find a ride, who will find money for a new outfit, who will buy the $200 ticket so they can have the Beyonce experience. Now, I'm not saying I'm Beyonce, but I am saying that a lot of it comes down to priorities. And so, so anyway, what was my point? Why was I bringing that up? So anyway, so I think that what you know, what we got to kind of look at is the fact that even if you don't want to afford the things that you need, there are still a lot of things out here that don't cost much of anything at all. You know, so when somebody said, well, you know, Dr. Boyce, a lot of black people can't afford $80 a month or whatever, and I'm like, well, I got to charge some kind of money, because if people get everything for free, it creates a charity mindset, a poverty mindset, and I'm not a fan of that. Also, we got bills to pay. We can't be independent without charging something. So we bring the fee as low as possible. So, but we still have to charge. And I say, but you know what? We do have some free stuff, and there's plenty of free stuff. I have probably about 5,000 free videos and another 3,000 free articles that people can read where they can learn stuff. And then but I'm not the only person who's created this content. There are lots of people who create content. There's a Stanford professor by the name of Ken Sapolsky. He's a white boy with a beard, and he teaches behavioral anthropology. I love Ken Sapolsky's lectures. And you know what he does? He teaches at Stanford. He brings the camera into the classroom and he records the lecture, and he puts it on YouTube, and the videos get over 1 million views. I love that dude. And so my feeling is that there ain't no damn excuse for you to not have education. If you went out here saying, well, you know, I can't afford to go to school, or I can't afford to take a class, or blah, 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 that's nonsense, because we always seem to find a way to figure out how to get on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter in order to have Twitter beefs. We have millions of our kids who are deeply educated on the storyline from Love and Hip Hop, you know, who are deeply educated on the hip hop beef between Nicki Minaj and Remy Ma. They can break that down in a nutshell. They're deeply educated on what a thought is, because they heard 2 Chainz explain that thought, T-H-O-T, means that hoe over there. So after about 3 months in, every black kid in the country knew what a thought was. Every damn child in our community knew what a thought was, because 2 Chainz and his old 50-year-old ass, or however old he is, who's supposed to be smart, but he ain't that smart. If you're a smart man and you're acting dumb, then that makes you a dumb man. You are what you are. You're not what you could have been, or you're not defined by what you are deep down or what you are behind the scenes. No, you're defined by what you present yourself to as the world. To the world. If I present myself as a murdering child molester, I go murder some people or hurt some kids or whatever, God forbid. If I do those things, I can't say, well, no, I just look like a murderous child molester. Really, I'm a good guy. You need to go just do the research. Like, just look at me behind the scenes. I'm really a good guy. People are gonna go, no, you're not a good guy, boys. You look at what you did, right? So it's not about what you are. It's about what you present to the world. So 2 Chainz, the smart man, the allegedly smart man who makes himself look like an ignorant monkey, goes out and teaches millions of our kids what a thought is, and our kids take it and they internalize it like that. Because this dumb son of a bitch didn't take the time to say, maybe I should teach them what it means to be a scholar. Or maybe I should teach them what it means to be a leader. Or maybe I should teach them what it means to be an independent millionaire. No, he's gonna spend his time teaching children how to become thoughts, or how to identify a thought. And that's your damn problem. That's your problem as black people. Your heads are filled with all kinds of information, but usually it's filled with all the wrong shit. It's filled with all kinds of worthless information that adds no value to your life or to the value of anybody else's life. If I put a status update on Facebook, I mentioned this on Facebook. I said, if I put up a status that says, "Hey, how many of y'all watched the Grammys last night?" I'm gonna get about 1,000 comments. Yeah, girl, I watched it. Oh, it was so good. Did you see what so and so's performance? That was all of that, right? Now, if I put up another status that says, how many of y'all, spent time this week teaching your kids how to read, write, do math, and start a business? I might get 4 comments. I'm gonna definitely get some crickets. I'm gonna definitely get a whole lot of crickets on that comment. And that's a big part of your problem. That's where we are. We put out a ton of energy. We exert so much energy in all the things that don't matter. We put all of our time into things that hurt us, things that hurt the people we love, things that add no value to our community, that things that threaten our very survival. In fact, somebody mentioned the rapper Young M.A. Young M.A. I guess I get credit. A lot of people give me credit for putting her on the map, but I don't believe I put her on the map. They say I put her on the map, and she said it in a few interviews. And go look it up. I'm not making this all up. She's actually confirmed this many times. Um, they say that I put her on the map because I put her on my Facebook page, and I critiqued her music, but I wasn't criticizing her or attacking her. I don't believe I put her on the map. I don't deserve that credit. Her talent put her on the map. She is an absolute genius. She's a lyrical mastermind. I've analyzed her lyrical ability and been stunned beyond belief. But I went back. Somebody asked, am I managing rappers? No, I am not managing rappers. So if you are a rapper and you want me to manage you, please do not ask me to manage you. I can't do that. Hold on. Okay, I hope you guys can still hear me. For some reason, my phone started ringing. Let me hit turn the do not disturb on. Okay, so I do not manage rappers, so I want you to know that. And yeah, and you're right, Angie Tweet. She accepted the criticism quite well, because a lot of rappers would just say, "Oh, he's just a hater." But that to me was a reflection of her genius. She's very, very smart, a very smart young lady. I mean, you can say what you want, but I can see intelligence in artists, no matter how they display it. But here's the thing you know, when I first mentioned her music, one of the things that I mentioned was that the music was it was disturbing, that it was violent, and that it was genocidal. And I wasn't criticizing her. I was really more or less criticizing the environment within which she was operating, right? So, and you say you can't put all the rappers in one group. Absolutely not. Um, and so to me, what I saw with the Young M.A. was I said, here's this young woman who could be sharing any kind of message. She could be rapping about all kinds. She could be rapping about education. She could be rapping about going to church. She could rap about being a good person. She could rap about love and life and or whatever. But instead, because of what she has been exposed to and what she's gone through and the environment that she has to survive in, she is rapping about shooting niggas in the head. Literally, that's the kind of lyrical content it was. And what I really saw was not so much a bad person, but I saw a person who felt they had to be a bad person in order to fit into a bad world. They had to become dysfunctional in order to match the dysfunction that was all around them. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems that we have as a people is that you have a lot of smart black people, otherwise very intelligent black people who feel that they have to be ignorant because they think the whole world is ignorant. And so one of the things I wanted to do as kind of a little bit of a dad and maybe a little bit of a teacher, because I see myself as a teacher to the world. I mean, I'm so happy that people listen to me. And I respect you and I appreciate you and I honor you for that. As a teacher, the best thing I can do is say, you know what? I will go out and I'll take all the punches. I'll take all the criticism. I'll take all the attacks for being that one person who says, no, the world is crazy. We don't have to be crazy to match a crazy world. We don't have to be ignorant to match the ignorance that's all around us. We don't have to be genocidal just because genocide and coonery seems to rule the day. And you see that a lot. You see a lot of people that don't really have the backbone to stand up to this. There are people that I used to respect a lot who are very prominent who will gladly endorse any dumb shit that comes out of a rapper's mouth. And I'll be like, well, do you know how many children are going to die or go to prison or get on drugs because of that song? And why are you celebrating this man because he's wealthy and he's famous? Oh, I get it. I get it. You fallen into that capitalist mindset that says money should rule over everything. And money shouldn't be over everything. All money ain't good money. All money is not good money. So for black people, I would say that, what we've got to do is we must take over the education of our kids. Take it over. Take it over. That's a big problem I have. A lot of black people don't believe they don't have the confidence that we can educate our own kids. And I'm like, you really think as the mother of that child that you're less qualified to give that child what they need than that white lady from the suburbs? You really are handing your child over to that white lady in the suburbs who wants to see your baby in prison because you don't believe that you have the ability to educate your own children. Are you serious right now? That baby came out of your body, but you think that that white woman who hates your child has a better ability to educate your kids than you. That is a confidence issue because everything you need to know is right there on the internet. There are homeschooling networks all over this country. There is information everywhere. I'm available. I can literally tell you right now in 10 seconds what you need to educate your child. Make sure that they're writing on a regular basis. Make sure that so they know the rules of grammar and stuff like that. Make sure they're reading on a regular basis so they can learn to comprehend what comes in and then write in order to communicate their ideas. Make sure they know math so that when they start a business one day or they're getting money or whatever it is, they won't get ripped off. Make sure they know their history so they know who the hell they are. They don't think that I'm George Washington in blackface. So you run around here like Dr. Ben Carson making a damn fool out of yourself. And then also make sure they know how to start a business. And all that information is available on the internet. It is right there on the internet. And black people can deliver that to ourselves and to our children. And I'll be damned, I will punch somebody in the face when they tell me that there are things white people can do for us that we can't do for ourselves. I'm a big believer in the ability of black people to provide every single thing for ourselves that we need without anybody's help. It doesn't mean that we disconnect from the world. It doesn't mean we separate. You are part of the global community, but you are a sovereign entity with the ability to do anything that you put your mind to. That's the fundamental truth. So that message isn't going to sit well with everybody. Again, that's probably why I got banned from Ebony Magazine and a bunch of other places. I know the executives at BET have had a lot of conversations about me. I guess I'm like a problem. But here's the thing. They won't see me as a problem in about 10 years. And I don't even think deep down right now they see me as a problem. I think right now they're just sort of uncomfortable with the method of delivery. They're uncomfortable with me kind of breaking all the rules and saying things exactly as they're supposed to be said. But I believe that over time, I believe that people who think like us are the ones who are going to lead and drive the future. We're the ones that are going to build the future for everybody else. Your children, when you teach your kids, for example, how to build wealth and start businesses, your children are going to be the employers of the next generation. So you don't need every black child knowing how to be an entrepreneur. What you need is the real entrepreneurs out there to really step up to their greatness. And if you got a light inside of you, that light needs to shine to the greatest of its ability so that you therefore then have the ability to develop institutions that will sustain the masses. Because there's nothing worse than a superstar black child who has been trained to dim his light so he can fit in with a bunch of old coon ass Negroes. So that is an absolute crime. It is a sin. When you were meant to be a billionaire entrepreneur and you settled in and just took a job because Pookie and them told you that that was the safe thing to do. Or you were meant to be a rocket scientist and you became like 2 Chainz, who decides he wants to teach kids how to become thoughts and drug addicts as opposed to teaching them how to reach their greatness. Or when you see all these people out here that feel that, oh, there's something wrong with being a hardworking student. I wanted to go to the library till 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night, but they made fun of me and they called me a nerd. Well, I say fuck them. Fuck them. That's bullshit. And I'm sorry, I hate to cuss, but it's honest to God truth. That, do you understand that the people, when I read to my students the other day, we read the bio of the young kid who created Snapchat, who's a 28-year-old billionaire. At 28 years old, he has more money than Oprah Winfrey. In fact, he and his partner together have 3 times more money than Oprah. And it was because when they were in college, they were working 12 hours a day, building their business, developing their app, and they didn't care about trying to be the cool kids. They were happy to be among the nerds. And because they did that, they now have the ability to sustain their families for the next 25 generations. So my belief is that as black people, we must applaud that kind of effort. We must applaud the nerds in our community as loud as we applaud the basketball players. Did y'all know? Speaking of that, somebody read this to me, and I want to tell you this because I got to go in a minute. But somebody said this to me. They said that they were talking about suicide prevention, and they said, did you know that having a concussion, one concussion, think about all the black boys who play football, most of them get a concussion at some point. They said one concussion doubles your probability of committing suicide. Did you know that one concussion doubles your probability of committing suicide? Now you got millions of black boys all lining up trying to play football. Not saying anything's wrong with that, but they see football as their pathway to fame and fortune, which it's not. Most football players I know, even the ones who made it to the NFL, 90% of them ain't got no money. But they all these black boys trying to play football, many of them have several concussions over the course of their life. And I heard that, I said, "Whoa, are you serious?" That's why some of these Negroes go crazy. When you look back and you think about Lawrence Phillips and what he beating his girlfriend, you look at that brother that played for the Baltimore Ravens, whatever his name was, I can't remember his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You look at OJ Simpson, other guys that have done these crazy things over the years. A lot of that is related to brain damage. It's related to brain damage. So I just wanted you guys to know that. And so what that says to me is that we're kind of chasing the dream in the wrong way. We're not just chasing the dream in the wrong way, we're chasing the wrong damn dream. That's our problem. I'm not saying that you can't play sports. I'm not dissing nobody who loves football and basketball and everything else. But I'm telling you, you got to wake up and look at things as they are instead of looking at things as the way they were taught to you. I gotta go because I gotta go. I actually have a dental appointment in 9 minutes. But don't forget, if you want to sign up for any of our programs, like our Black Stock Market program, go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. You can get a discount there at blackfinancialliteracy.com. Also, another thing I want to tell you is don't forget that the All Black National Convention is going to be held at Simmons College of Kentucky on September 29th through October 1st. So I hope you'll mark it on your calendar. That's the All Black National Convention. 100% real. It was amazing last year. You're going to love it. It will change your life. People flew in from all over the world. So we fully expect to be sold out. So feel free to mark that on your calendar now. And I'm about to get out of here, guys. I love you. It's awesome talking to you. And I'll be back a little bit later. I just got to go handle some business. So take care, peeps. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.